Hello, my name is Hannah Munstermann, and I am not here today to try to sell you advertisement for the Kansas City Current, but instead trying to get you to buy into the women's game. Now, you may be asking, why buy into the women's game? To which I'll respond with these two statistics I have. Not this year for the women's national championship game in the NCAA, that drew 5 million views, which is up 18.5% from last year. And that is only with a little bit more of investment, a little bit more of advertising within the women's game. Now, when we look at the NCAA softball championship game, that drew more than the baseball World Series that happened. And that was without any extra investment. The women still had more struggle. They all had that stuff. But just based off of ESPN and being on ESPN, they drew more than 500,000 in average. Now, we know that the women are powerful, especially when given the opportunity, based just on those two stats. Now, you may be wondering, how would that affect the Kansas City Current? Where does that fit in? Now, this right here behind me, or I guess on your screen rather, is the new $70 million stadium that they're going to create that's going to be by the riverfront in the Kansas City, Missouri side of everything. Now, on top of this, they're also going to be building a $15 million stadium. A $15 million training facility just for the women. The Kansas City Current, which this is their logo, have only been here since December of 2020. And they have already gone so much farther than most of the other NWSL teams, which is the National Women's Soccer League. Brittany Mahomes, along with Angie and Chris Long, are doing groundbreaking things. These are just a few examples of what they want to do or what they are doing. The women's game is growing more and more each year, but unfortunately, there are little pieces that are just getting stuck, such as when we look at the World Cup viewership. This was in 2019 for women's soccer. We had so much viewership in the US, more than the men's. Even though the men weren't in it, we still had more, and this is when we won. Now, that was about 2 million in 2019 just based off of TV revenue. Now, in 2021, when everyone was stuck in their houses during COVID and all of that, there was only 400,000. This, of course, has to do a little bit with the time change, such as when Tokyo happened. So the games weren't played at the same time, but also it just wasn't as broadly streamed and as broadly brought about for everyone. This is where I think that you guys can come in. It just takes a little bit of investment in the women's game. Now, that could be anything from TV rights to just having different partnerships, different advertising, just to get the women's name out there. And then you'll get so much more in return. When we look at the fact of sports in general, sports are something that you have diehard fans. No matter what, they're going to be there. And then you think in general that happens, but in the women's game, they're even more because it's a tighter knit community. You have to do so much more just to be able to get to where you want, such as the professional women. They have to sometimes they have to do extra jobs on top. They might have a professional career and then they play 2 to 3 more. They have 2 to 3 jobs outside of it. Or in the case of Brittany Griner, she had to play overseas in Russia because that's where they get most of their money when they play in the NWSL and the WNBA. They don't make nearly as much, and they basically just do it because they want to be close to home and they want to try to grow the women's game. They want to try to get young girls to see that you can do what you want. Speaking of young girls, it's all about representation. If they can see that they can do it, if they can believe that they can do it, then they can go so much farther and we can grow everything. Now, the Current, as I said earlier, they haven't even been here. What is this, 2022? They haven't even been here for 2 full years, but they're already at the forefront of everything. They care about their athletes. They're putting all these things in place. Why don't you want to be a part of that? Why don't you want to be having your own advertisement right there by the goal line, maybe at the center of the pitch, which is the field, maybe on the scoreboard of the first only women's soccer stadium built specifically for an NWSL team, specifically for women's soccer? Why not be at the forefront? Why not be one of the first ones there on opening day? Now, when we talk also, here, let me click to this next slide. This is the Kansas City area. This is what it looks like to believe, to put up with, to just want to be a part of a soccer community. Imagine the target market that you will be acquiring just by helping us. Look at all these people. Now, some of them you might have, but when I said earlier about the women and how they are a tight-knit community, this is the best way to show it. Because when they show out, when they show up, they show out. And that doesn't just involve sports. That doesn't just involve soccer. It also involves everything. So if you see something like what is another NWSL team, the OL Reign, because I can't pronounce the French version and I don't want to butcher it, but the OL Reign, they just created a partnership with Delta. They just created a new brand in which Delta is going to have so many people that are going to fly to them. The NWSL in general had Twitch. They streamed everything on Twitch last year and the year before. And so many people are flocking to Twitch. That's also what's going to happen when you buy in and you join us, hopefully, in our advertising. Now, right here, this is Barcelona, Spain. They just broke the record on, let's see, what day was this? April 22nd, 2022. They broke the record for the largest crowd for women's soccer, which was, you can see right here, which is 91,553 people. Now, obviously the Kansas City Current can't really do that since we only have 11,000 that can fit in the stadium. But still, this is what investment looks like. Look at all those people. Look how much they love soccer in Barcelona. I mean, Messi used to be there. Now he's somewhere else. You had Luis Suarez was there. You had Neymar. It's a soccer loving community. And just like Kansas City, it's the exact same. So why not create our own history? Why not be the trailblazers in the US and create this for us? Now, you may be asking, these are some questions that some people like to ask. How does this benefit you? As I've said before, the target market. Now, as I said before, apologies. When I said the target market before, the target market isn't just one little bit. It's not just, oh, it's just going to be middle-aged adults. No, you're going to have youth. You're going to have kids. You're going to have young adults. You're going to have middle age. You're going to have the older adults. It fits every different target market that there is all in one. And then you have a nice variety of, women, men, and you can have people of different diversities of backgrounds. It's everything that fits for you. You may be asking location. I said slightly earlier as well, but where do you want your advertisement to be? We could easily put them on the pamphlets, on those. You can put them on the jerseys, because a lot of times they'll actually put it on the front of the jersey, the biggest sponsorship, the biggest advertisement. You could put them on the goal lines, on the side of the pitch, on the scoreboard. Heck, it could even be on the stadium itself or the training facility. Sometimes they even have little boards on the sidelines that kind of look 3D, but they're painted onto the pitch that actually have your advertisement, which I think is kind of cool because it's like a little, what is it called? Optical illusion, that's what it is. And then who will see this? Oh, sorry. The younger generation is the one, honestly, right now that is leading the forefront in everything. So when you look at this, when someone looks at it, they're going to look to see, well, what do you have? What diversity do you have? And they're going to look at your clientele and everything like that. So when you look at who's going to see this, the kids, the youth, they're going to see, oh, well, this team, this advertisement, this company is buying into women's soccer, is buying into women and and all the national issues that we have, all the social issues, all the injustice, everything. They're going to see this because the Kansas City Current, they're someone that's going to be at the forefront. They are at the forefront of trying to change and try to get everyone to see what's happening. So when who sees this, the younger generation is going to see that you have your stance and that you believe that everyone should believe in what they do, or at least have the same thought process going on, that they're going to want to buy in. They're going to want to be with you. So honestly, to end this thing, I just want to ask you, do you want to be like this? Do you want to be like this? Do you want to be a trailblazer and not only Kansas City, not only in the NWSL, women's soccer, professional, whatever, if it's professional, collegiate, youth, but why not be at the forefront of the women's game and help us grow? Thank you for your time today.